Alright, so I'm going to show you how to make the daisy flower using the template set from our shop and Amazon. So this is what you will cut out to be your base. This is what you'll cut out to be your hot dog center palm piece. And then this is all the pieces cut out. I cut out a bunch because I like to do it a bunch in a row. So we have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. And then we'll count them out together when we make them. So first thing I do is I like to cut all my slits because I like to do everything as most efficient as possible, and I think doing all the same steps in a row like this in the beginning does help. So when you cut out your paper, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating this if you've watched some of my other videos, but some of you only get one set, so you're not going to hear all the same information. So I just want to share with everybody. But when I cut some out, I like to do, I can cut 6 sheets at once because the paper is not crazy thick. I get 67 or 70 pounds, something around there. You can buy them in the packs, and you can cut all 6 sheets at once. So you can trace once and then that's it. And you really don't need to do one at a time. It'd be very time consuming. So remember that tip. Right now I'm just kind of rolling the edges. The daisy flower, it stands up pretty tall and you just need to give it a little bit of shape. But I don't really roll the flowers with the glue stick like I do with my other flowers. So I just kind of roll it a little bit like this. If you want extra shape, and see how it kind of stands up a little bit on its own. And from there we're going to start gluing, oh I need a new glue stick, gluing the petals. So we do just a little dab and we're going to just overlap it. I overlap this daisy flower a lot more than I do my other flowers because the shape of this flower is just that kind of style. So usually I just do a little overlap, and you can really do whatever you like, but the way I display this flower in my photos and in my examples is the way I'm going to show you, just so you're getting what you saw. But you can adjust or however you think you want it to look. But I really like a mix of all these flowers together because the different heights and styles, they all just look so pretty. So now we're going to take our base and we're going to just glue each set around the flower. We're going to stay kind of towards the edge because we want to have room to put all 6 layers plus the center. And when I glue, I kind of glue in like a U shape. I do use a lot of glue. It ends up being about 1 glue stick per flower. And that might seem like a lot, but these are the big flowers. Keep in mind, we're making the extra large right now. But I buy glue sticks in bulk. They're pretty inexpensive. And it's definitely cheaper than buying these crazy flowers at the store. And it's just so cool to see your own art hanging up or used in different versatile ways of whether it's parties or baby showers or decorations or in weddings or photo backdrops, and it's pretty cool. So this is our first layer, and from there we're going to just start with number 2. So I'm just going to scoot that over a little bit so I can get petals for my number 2. So I'm going to count out 6 again, and like I said, you can do 6 at once, so don't feel scared. And then we're just going to kind of give it a little bit of shape and body and movement. That looks good. Yeah, so you can see this better. And kind of with each layer, people like to glue a little bit tighter and tighter. You'll just have to practice and see how you like it. And then you can always roll your petal different. You can take one style of template that you purchase, and you can do it so many different ways. You can try rolling these petals back. Like, look how pretty that would be. You can try to roll them in. You can do a lot of things. You can spray paint them. You can do glitter glue on them. You can have your kids color them. You can buy colored paper, of course. I just find colored paper to be pretty expensive. So I like to just, if I want them a different color, I can spray paint them, or sometimes I just spray paint the centers. But right now, my kids' room we're going for, it's very pink, so we're gonna try to incorporate some of these to just bring in some white colors into their room. Okay, so now we're gonna glue the second layer, and so since we have 6 of these, just like the last set, we're gonna just kind of go in between each hole and fill it in. So that way when you're looking at it, there's peaks in between each one. And when you're gluing them around, if you realize you got all the way around and you have an extra petal, that's fine, save it for another flower. Or if you're going around and you go really tight and you realize you have a gap still, then just cut another shape out. You know, there's no, you don't have to, it's not a mistake, or you don't have to scrap it and start over. You just kind of have to, you'll get into the groove of how you do it, and maybe your numbers aren't the same as mine as to how many petals you need to cut for each flower, but you'll figure that out on your own. Okay, one more. Here we go. All right. So that's number 2. Now we're moving on to number 3, which is 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And don't even worry if you bend them weird, or if you cut them wrong, or maybe they're smaller. Like, flowers are not perfect. The shapes do not have to seem perfect, especially hanging up on a wall. Like, you're not going to be able to notice any imperfections that you might be stressed out about. Like, this is still a craft. You still made this yourself, and that's pretty cool. So see how this isn't even like perfectly center, but the wave is just cool. I want some body. It's gonna look neat. I'm not even worried about it. It's gonna look good. Okay. If you're curious about my glue gun and mat, I just buy everything at Michael's or any craft store, and this mat is like a high temperature for this, so because I kept ruining my couches or my carpet or wherever I was working at the time, and so my husband picked that up for me. I think it was under $10, maybe like $5, and you know Michael's, you can always use a coupon and stuff, so. And as we go in, we just kind of go gradually closer into the flower, but not too much because, you know, we have 6 layers, and then we also have to put that palm center. So leave some wiggle room. And if you go super tight and you realize you have more, then just do an extra layer of the last size. Do an extra layer of 6 or whatever it ends up being, and that's fine too. I like mine very full like this, so some people I know only do just a few layers and maybe like 3, and I do 6, so it doesn't look as full, but they still look good, so it's up to you. I'm going to glue this one a little more because this guy's kind of stuck. I'm going to put a little glue on the inside and just kind of stick it to the other petal. And there you go. Okay, so where are we at? We have 1, 2, 3 layers, so now I'm on layer 4, which is 4 petals. Okay, roll these a little bit, kind of like a taco. And with these smaller ones, I can cut out multiples on a page. You know, I might put this way on the paper and then put other ones on it and just cut them all at once. And I try to use every square inch of that paper so I'm not wasting any. And I'm not doing more work than I have to because it's a lot of work cutting out these petals. So I try to do as smart of a job as I can. So since I have 4 petals, I'm going to kind of go in the shape of like a square when I lay these out. So there's one side, there's another, so there's kind of my L. And I have 2 more. There we go. That'll do nice. So now we have 5 and 6. I'm just going to do these at once since we're so close. So we do 4 of number 5 and 3 of number 6. Alright, so number 5. Since it's also 4, I'm going to just kind of go at the opposite of my last square. Just kind of do like a diamond type shape around the edges of that one. If I can get this to roll. Alright, that'll do. Let's do this guy. Alright, that's a little tight. That's good. Just gonna glue all these at once. So I'm done with that part. Okay, here we go. Boop. And then it kind of makes that it's going in the gap of the other ones. 1, 2. 24. Alright, and then my last little 3 before I make my center. Oh, what am I doing? I was gluing the back, but I forgot to do I'll just wipe that off, kind of. Alright, we'll go there. 1, 2, and 3. Stick them over. Stick them over. Okay. 1. When I do the last 3, I kind of do them in like a triangle. This makes sense for the shape. 2 and 3. The daisy flower is really tall. It's pretty. Okay, this is our hot dog. We're gonna make the center. So we take our hot dog, which is just 1 regular sheet of paper cut in half. So we're gonna fold it in half. Keep the edges lined up as best you can. And make it tight. And then we're gonna cut the folded side. So that's the open side. We're gonna cut the folded side, not all the way through. Don't go through or else you'll lose your pieces. So we're gonna just kind of make like 1-inch slits so we have a little bit left over, and we're just kind of fan it like that. So cut them as tight as you can without cutting through or cutting the next one. They don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. They don't have to be spaced symmetrically. It's fine. It's gonna all be rolled up and you won't be able to notice any sort of imperfections that you're doing. Just don't cut all the way through because then you'll have to start over, which isn't that big of a deal because it doesn't take too long. Alright, we're almost done. And if you realize you have this isn't that big of a space, so it will be perfect with this, but if you realize you have a much larger space left over, you can do this process twice and wrap it around each other to make a huge center. That looks really pretty. I don't ever need to do that because I kind of know how to shape mine, but so here we are. We're going to start at one end and we're just going to start rolling it. We're going to roll it really tight as we can. And then we're going to just keep these edges together. Keep it going. Keep it going. These will kind of separate a little bit, and that's okay. because it just makes it start to fan on its own, which looks really pretty. So we're gonna roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it. We'll fix that, don't worry how it looks like that. And then we'll kind of push it together like that. And we'll kind of go in the front and just kind of go like this. Give it a little bit more body. We're gonna go back through here. We're gonna glue the edge together to make it stay as one piece. Hold it there for a second. All right, and then we're gonna put a bunch of glue through this whole center to make sure it can stay in the flower. Then we're gonna stick it dead center in the flower, just like this. And then you can continue to kind of scrunch it to give it the desired fullness. And like I said, if it's not full enough, you can wrap a whole nother layer of that palm around it to make it huge. But this looks pretty good for me. I think I'm happy with it. And this is our daisy flower. Thanks for watching.